bring in digital editor here at Sky News, Jack Houghton, to talk about some of the feedback this week, Jack. But before we get to that, you've been keeping an eye on the Democrat debate in the States. A bit of a doozy. I showed Elizabeth Warren earlier just toweling up Michael Bloomberg.
Absolutely explosive. I mean, if Elizabeth Warren is the person that's hitting you on deception, you're in a little bit of trouble. But it looks like he's run into problems. He's been accused of being bumbling before his campaign's even really kicked off.
I saw, so it was in Las Vegas. I saw someone said he's been the biggest loser in the history of Las Vegas, which is saying something. Let's have a look at a little bit of Michael Bloomberg here. I think he's actually responding here to this issue of women who have used to work for him who are on non-disclosure agreements. He admits there's some, but won't say any more.
We have a very few non-disclosure agreements.
How many is
Let me
there?
finish.
How many is there?
None of them accuse me of doing anything other than maybe they didn't like the joke I told. And let me put.
I mean, this is just dynamite, right? Now, the other candidates say, obviously, he called on him to give a public invitation, really, to all these women to free them from their non-disclosure agreements so they can talk. But he hasn't done that. He wants everyone to stay short.
This is a big problem for him. I think this really cooks him in terms of his chances, because he's also facing issues over the stop and frisk commentary.
Yep.
He was very crass about how he was talking about throwing people up against the wall. And obviously, the black vote is very crucial if you actually did want to come and take Trump down, because he's polling very, very well in that demographic.
They love to attack Trump, of course, on his checkered past with women and sexual. He's completely exposed there.
The allegations, now he might not want to talk about them, but some of them have been aired. And there's between 1996 and 97, there were 4 different women at the Bloomberg company that actually came forward to make complaints that he was a subject to, and they were pretty damning. And there's this hilarious bit of detail that came out. He said, "Well, I took a lie detector test and I passed, and then refused to pass on the lie detector."
He's like a Democrat Trump. I mean, this is the point that Elizabeth Warren made. An arrogant billionaire who's got a problem with women from New York. I reckon he's toast already. I want to just go on to another issue here in Australia. This is an ad that the ANZ Bank has put out. It's linked to their sponsorship or involvement in the gay MARDI GRAS, but it's talking about language. Have a look at this.
So tell me what your name is.
My name.
Poof.
Man-hater.
My name is Tranny. Fairy.
Freak. Carpet muncher.
Dirty.
Limp-wristed.
Ladyboy. Confused.
A lot of people tend to say that you just haven't met the right
Man yet.
Don't be so feminine.
Now, there are some other words there, stronger words that are used that we haven't used at 5 o'clock. One, an F word that sounds like maggot, for instance. ANZ, Jack, are doing this just because they're trying to get rid of hate speech, as they say it. But it seems to have backfired. A lot of people from the gay and lesbian community saying that they're offended by this. And what are they doing? Is it a case of virtue signalling gone awry?
Well, hate speech is such a difficult concept to define, and I don't know if I want a bank dealing with this levels of wealth that has this much power, that just has been criticised by a royal commission, just have to offer up over $600 million in compensation.
Look after your customers.
I don't know if I want them to dictate what hate speech is. It's an incredibly complex thing to define. And you know what customers want? They just want you not to rip them off. They don't want you preaching morality, and they don't want you writing the rules of engagement for culture and attempting to change that.
Spot on.
Private company, do what you want with your money. But really, in terms of like an image remake, it's a misfire.